I don't know how many of you see renal tumors, but probably more commonly now that they can be also biopsied or partial nephrectomy. All right, I have no disclosures. So what we're going to discuss today is common and uncommon renal tumors with eosinophilic cytoplasm, and we will distinguish them into hopefully two main groups, the one that have favorable prognosis and the one that have aggressive behavior. So you want to make sure that you can at least distinguish these two categories and understand what are key morphological and immunohistochemical features useful to recognize some distinct entities. So the point of this lecture is for you not to panic. When you see all these tumors, just stay calm and relax, because we can put some order in the disorder, and maybe that's going to help the approach for those tumors. So tumor of the kidney represent about 2% of all cancer globally and 2% of cancer death. You can see that the survival, it depends on staging. So localized tumor have a very high 93% survival at 5 years. But however, when you start having regional metastasis or distant metastasis, that actually goes much down. There's been an increase in incidence since the 1990s, and most of this is related to imaging. Now is the 7th most common cancer in men, renal tumors, and the 10th most common cancer in female. 60% of that are incidentally found during imaging for other reasons. Keep in mind that 2 to 5% are associated with inherited syndromes. And these are the ones that you want to be familiar with so that you can suggest that there's genetic counseling may be good for those patients or their family. This is a microphotograph of the chapter of the 5th WHO that is coming out later this year on renal tumors. And you can see that the list actually has exploded dramatically. So for what could have been 20 years ago, there were 4 tumors. Now the list is infinite and is growing daily. Now the thing that's going to be challenging is that realistically, every single one of those tumors can have pink eosinophilic features. So how are we going to make some sense of all this complexity? I hope we can do that today. So this is a table that I constructed when you think about pink eosinophilic tumors that are, let's say, on the low-grade features, so that have indolent behavior and prognosis. We start with oncocytoma that we're going to describe and spend some time on. We're going to include chromophobe, that is the main differential diagnosis, and also hybrid oncocytic tumors. But in this table, there are also 2 new entities that are emerging entities that I will not spend time discussing. One is the low-grade oncocytic tumors. There are some new publications coming out. These are tumors that in the past may have been included into the oncocytoma group, but you can see that they have very more like solid and architecture, compact, more than you will allow in an oncocytoma. These tumors also are very diffusely positive for cytokeratin 7 and negative for CD117, that are actually the opposite of what you get in oncocytoma. They stain also for GATA3. And the other things that is a new entity is a hybrid eosinophilic vacuolated tumors. Those tumors are sporadic. They occur predominantly also in patients with tubular sclerosis. There's few publications out. They have a solid growth, but typically they have these very large intracytoplasmic vacuoles. They look, the cells are very bubbly. They're positive or negative for 7 and positive for CD117, but they also stain for cathepsin K. Their behavior is indolent. I just want you to know that these two also exist.